Welcome back to the vlog and welcome back to Madayama. I just landed here from Yifki and we're heading on to Wewak now to check out a World War II aircraft crashed out in the Sepik. So yeah, hopefully the weather is good enough and that the clouds are high enough to be able to do that. Alright, igniter's on, fuel pump on, and low start. We'll give it a little bit of time, just let our ITT drop below 200 and then we'll introduce our fuel.
TOS system test, okay.
And peaks out at 672. Generator on, prop forward, get our 20 degrees of flaps in, our V2 tracker is on, our alternator and our aux bus. I'm just empty, taking off out of here back to Wewak to pick up another load of people to head on up, back up to Yifki today. You can see our track already here, so if you want to watch that video, yeah, you can go find it at the end of this video. I'll link it at the end just so you can go back and watch that one again. And we're heading on up here to Wewak, right about that track. Alright, we are clear. Flip all our lights on as we start taxiing out. Moresby 6538, November Tango Echo Taxi.
Tango Echo, Moresby, stand by. Tango Echo confirmed taxi.
Affirm, November Tango Echo Taxi, Madayama, Wewak, 1 POB.
Tango Echo.
All stations, Madayama, 126.7, November Tango Echo Taxi, Madayama, Wewak. Our fuel caps and selectors are good. Our controls are all free and correct. Switches and instruments were empty today. So 5,300 pounds, so rotate at 53. Now around 53 or 54. Flaps are set, indicated, and verified at 20. We're trimming abort. There's like a grass area that kind of comes out, that's kind of overgrown. We'll be probably 40 knots. We'll be at 40 knots at that point because we're empty, or we'll abort. It's going to be just full reverse, heavy braking, cut off, pull off, and shut off. If we're going off, we'll go straight ahead. They cleared out all the clearway, which is really, really nice. That's the first time in like 5 years that I've seen them clear the clearway, so that's awesome. Good on them. After takeoff, we're going to pitch for 85 knots, consider our emergency power lever, otherwise feather it, and immediate left-hand turn, because there's a lake out there. I don't really want to land in the lake with crocodiles. Big ones too. So, otherwise cut off, pull off, and shut off, emergencies, masters, and crack my door. All of our lights are on, our SAR is done. 30 degrees sea level, so 1540. 1540 for 1590, ignition condition, flaps 20, fuel and harnesses. Checklist is complete and rotate at 53. Alright, there's our torque. Hold my elbow pretty still with the nose off the ground just barely. Got to increase. And there's airborne. Push it over, get our speed up. We'll stay below this hawk right here. And head out. I think most of our clouds today are right around 1,000 feet. So, we'll just go ahead and bring our power on back. Get our flaps out because we're already over 100 knots. We'll fly down the lake here for a second so you guys can see how beautiful it is here. Kind of swampy. Looks like an awesome wakeboarding lake though. I always wish there was a boat out here that we could do something like that on. I don't know if crocodiles just stay near the edges or they actually get out in the middle or not, but this looks like a really fun lake to go wakeboarding on.
Don't sink.
Oh yes, thank you, Betty. Moresby 6538, November Tango Echo, departure.
Tango Echo, stand by.
Alright, we'll flip our landing light off. We'll leave our engine inlet flight path. Igniters are turned off. We'll stay below 5,000. We've just got 40 miles before we get up to the B-25. And Morsby 1267, November Tango Echo.
November Tango Echo, Morsby, go ahead, departure.
November Tango Echo departed Maruyama, time 2-4. Tracking 023 on climb below 5,000. Estimating WEWAC time 5-6. It's probably going to be confused because my track is a tiny bit different.
Tango Echo, roger.
So anyways, because the clouds are pretty much right at 1,000 feet, I'm just staying at 500, 600 feet for now, because it's only 40 miles out there. There's no point in climbing way up and then having to try to find a hole to get back down underneath of it. Once I'm down here, it's fine, but I don't want to have to struggle getting down here. Anyways, yeah, so this World War II aircraft is a B-25, and there is some cool backstory to it because there is like history about it and what happened to the crew and whatnot. I'll leave a link down below to like the story on, I think it's Pacific Rex, they shared it with me. But if I remember correctly, they were flying this airplane, I think back to Leh, I'm not positive, but they lost one engine and they purposefully crash landed it out into this field. Everybody lived, and but then as they were hiking out, I guess they were captured by the Japanese. They were made to dig their own graves, and they all perished. So it's a really sad story, even though they all lived. But I guess they got some of like the journals and whatnot back from some of these guys, I'm thinking. But yeah, if you want to check out like the full story and a little bit more detail than what I just gave you, check out the link below because it is a really cool story. But half of this B-25 bomber is gone because when they landed it, it was all intact. But then I guess the Americans came back the very next week and they bombed the aircraft. I don't really know why, but anyways, so the whole front of the aircraft is actually gone, the engines and whatnot. So basically, it's just the tail. And the tail, yeah. So basically, just the vertical and all that stuff that you can see there, and some trees growing around it. But it's cool nonetheless. You can hike out here. I know that there's been some people that have, but it's super, super swampy, and yeah, it's kind of, I mean, yeah, as I'm flying over this kind of stuff, this is kind of everywhere. It's just, even though there's grass, it's just super wet everywhere, so. Well, as we get closer, we've got 25 more miles to go before we get to the crashed plane. It looks like there's rain up there. It might be different. It might just be that it's further on out, but it looks like right about the 25-mile mark is where the rain starts. So hopefully this will still actually work out for you guys. It's not looking super hopeful, so stay tuned. This is a really cool little village down here right on the river. It'd be interesting just to see how the kids grow up here and, you know, how life is different living in the sea peaks of Papua New Guinea, how hot and muggy it is here. Well, I'm glad that I stayed below this layer because it's pretty much just a full-on overcast as far as I can see with, I mean, ever so slightly small holes. This one here looks a little bit bigger, but even getting down in through that, that's a pretty small hole to be climbing down, descending down through, so. Alright, so it looks like the rain is a little bit less over there and a little bit less over there, but then directly right where we actually want to go, it looks like the darkest and it's just full-on rain. So I want to just track a little bit off to the right. It's beautiful out that way. It's kind of scuzzy and rainy over there and scuzzy and rainy over there. So it looks like I can sort of see through a little bit over here to the right. So I'm just going to divert a tiny bit to the right, maybe 5 or so degrees. See if we can maybe get on the other side of the rain shower, and then maybe we can take a look at this plane, and hopefully that it's a fairly small rain shower. Also the cloud layer is slowly going down because as we get closer to WEWAC, the ground just slowly goes up and then turns into mountains. So it slowly goes up and all the clouds kind of wiggle on down all the way down to nothing down there. So more than likely we'll have to do an IMC departure through these potentially to get up over top of them before we can actually get back into WEWAC. Unless we go way down there where it's nice and clear, but that's kind of a bit out of the way. Alright, definitely looks like the clouds are dropping just a little bit more, so this might not work for today. We will see. There's no point in pressing it in just to show you guys this plane when I'm sure I can show you guys another time as well. Alright, we'll go at just a time. We got 10 miles, basically like the next field up here, so we'll see. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and push my prop forward, slow on down. We'll get our flaps in here in a minute just so we can slow down and not just zoom by it. We're just 7 miles out, so it's just on the other side of this little field right here. It actually looks like it's actually getting better as you go towards WEWAC. It looks like I can see the ridges, so I might be able just to keep on going underneath this layer and then pop over top at the last minute. Yeah, pretty much the whole airplane is gone except for the vertical stabilizers, and that's about it. But it's still really cool though, nonetheless. Alright, so we're just going to see if we can just stay up underneath of this layer all the way back. I've got 25 miles to head back, or not even that, 20 miles to head back to Garoga, or WEWAC, can't even think straight. And I'm seeing the ridge along WEWAC, so we'll just keep our fuel flow, bring our flaps back up, and keep our fuel flow right at 320 for our trip back. We'll leave our bypass still on just because we're at a lower level. We don't want to be sucking up any birds into the actual engine. It looks like it's really clearing up right here right before we get into WEWAC, so that's a good sign. I'm heading back out this way. After I fuel up, I'm heading back out this way, and just because all the high overcast is starting to burn off really quickly, now all of these clouds is just going to start building up super, super fast. I mean, when I came out here, it was beautiful, and there's already clouds all up into there. I don't know, probably up to 20,000, and back here as well, quite a bit of rain, so hopefully it's not going to create too much of a hassle for me getting back out to Yifki where I need to get to. Alright, because I'm at 700 and I know these mountains ahead of me, they go all up to 2,200. I want to go ahead and climb up over top of this layer, I think. It's going to work out a little bit easier. So, bring my ITT up to 720. And we'll just start pitching up our best rate of climb, which is probably around 12, anywhere between 10 and 12 degrees on our attitude indicator. And then the airspeed is just going to slowly work on down. So I don't need to keep going, pitching for the airspeed. I'm just pitching for my attitude, and then it'll bleed itself off. So I need basically around 2,100 feet to get over top of these mountains. And if I have to go through any clouds, I have to be at least 3,100 feet for my minimum safe. But I think around 2,000 should be able to get me in this morning. So we're up, we'll bring our torque back on, back to 1250, and then look at our fuel flow. If it's over 320, then I'll just continue to bring my torque back to 320 on my fuel flow. That way I'm not just burning excess fuel and don't really need to burn that fuel. All stations, WEWAC 126.7, Zodiak November Tango Echo, 11 miles to the south, 2,400, circuit time, WEWAC 57. Alright, our fuel selectors and brakes are good, our TAWS is still turned off, our VREF, because we're empty, we'll just come in at 70, well, yeah, we'll just come in at 70 knots, there's really no point in coming in that slow today. Our lights and inlet, we can throw our lights on, our inlet's already good, we'll turn our pitot heats back off, I had them on because I was going through the rain. If we do need to go around, like always, it's just pitch for 73 knots, 20 degrees of flaps, pitch for 73, reset our ITT back up to 740 maneuvers required. All stations, WEWAC November Tango Echo, 5 miles to the south, 1,600 feet flying overhead for a left downwind runway 10 WEWAC. Mars B 126.7, November Tango Echo.
Tango Echo, once we go ahead.
November Tango Echo in the circuit, WEWAC, cancel SAR.
Tango Echo, confirm Secretary of WEWAC.
Affirmative, November Tango Echo.
Tango Echo, WEWAC SAWAT. November Tango Echo, WEWAC SAWAT terminated.
Thank you, November Tango Echo. So as we fly over the field here, I'm going to pan my cameras down my wings and stuff to show you guys all of the bomb holes. They're just like littered on both sides of the runway, all the way up and down it from World War II. So it's pretty cool, but they're all basically filled with water now. So there's just a bunch of ponds you can kind of see. It's really easy to see now because they are always filled with water. All right, prop forward. And my harness is a seatbelt harness, guys. A lot of people ask me what this is. It basically locks the seatbelt so it can't go any further. Our watch is complete. All right, yeah, so on the left side here, there's a ton of them. And there are some on the right side, but they're mainly on the left side where you guys can see. Just gobs and gobs of them. Pretty cool, though, I think. Well, it's a nice and beautiful day here in WEWAC yet again, just about always is. All stations WEWAC, November Tango Echo joining left downwind runway 10 WEWAC. I would say out of all the beaches I've been to in PNG, I would say WEWAC has the nicest ones by far. They've got nice white sandy beaches, well, yellow sandy beaches, but they're really nice though. The WEWAC town is directly ahead of me. Up there, that's kind of like the downtown area, and they have like the shipping and industrial area right in this area right here. And you'll see a lot of tuna fish boats out here quite often as well. Here I like to touch down around the 500-foot marker, just because then I don't have to really hit my brakes that hard before the first taxiway. So that's what I'll be shooting for. Again, we're going 70 knots, so I'm going to come in a little bit faster, so I have to aim
500
before that if I actually want to touch down in that area. This is going to float. I think I could probably come in all the way at like 61 or 62 knots if I wanted to. All right, checklist is complete. 7 knots crosswind. I haven't even touched the brakes yet. This is all just beta. It's not even reverse, it's just beta. What that does is it changes the pitch of the prop. Now on this prop you can actually make it go into full reverse as well, which is really handy getting into some of these bush locations and slowing down really quick. Thanks guys for taking the time to watch this video. Be sure to subscribe if you guys haven't already. You've watched a couple of my videos. I put out videos twice a week now on Sundays and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to try that exact same flight and try to find this plane on Microsoft Flight Sim or whatever else, I'll leave a link down below to my Patreon page where you can find this exact same flight if you're a sim flyer or whatnot and you want to try it at home, experience PNG as much as you can. I've got lots and lots of different flights that you guys can fly to different bush locations, mountain airstrips and whatnot on X-Plane or Microsoft Flight Sim or whatever you guys want to use. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that extra content that I make. I also make like on-the-ground videos that you guys can watch, so. Well, like I said, thanks again and you guys have a wonderful day.